Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, this one's particularly interesting, I think. It's kind of got me thinking differently about just my everyday life and routine and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know how we always talk about wanting to make like big changes, in our lives?
The big sweeping changes.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. But what we're diving into today is like the idea that all these tiny little choices we make day after day
Right.
actually like they add up to the big stuff.
Yeah. Those small, seemingly insignificant choices that we make every single day, they really do add up over time.
So like even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment, like
Yeah.
choosing to hit snooze or,
Yeah.
like skipping the gym or whatever,
Right.
like those things actually are kind of shaping our lives.
Exactly. And I think a good way to think about it is like, compound interest. You
Yeah.
know how like a small amount of money invested consistently over time can grow into something much larger.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same with our choices.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, each choice is like a small deposit, either into a life that we want or a life that we don't want.
I like that.
Yeah, and there was this study that I came across while I was preparing for a conversation today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was about decision fatigue. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, so basically it's this idea that our willpower is like a muscle. It gets tired after being used too much.
Oh, good.
So like throughout the day, we're constantly making decisions, big and small, and each decision kind of depletes our willpower a little bit.
Interesting.
And what the study found was that when people are in a state of decision fatigue, they're much more likely to make impulsive choices,
Yeah.
choices that aren't necessarily aligned with their long-term goals.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and this is where I think the idea of small choices really comes into play.
Yeah.
Because if we can be more intentional about the small choices, especially early in the day when our willpower is fresh, we can kind of set ourselves up for success later on.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Like, for example, let's say, you want to eat healthier,
Right.
but you hit snooze 3 times every morning, and then you're rushing out the door and grabbing whatever's quickest and easiest.
Oh, yeah, definitely guilty of that.
Yeah, we've all been there. But by the time you get to work, you've already depleted your willpower a little bit, and it's going to be that much harder to resist those donuts in the break room.
So you're saying that just by like making that one small change
Yeah,
to your morning routine, like getting up earlier so you have time for a healthy breakfast,
right.
it can actually make it easier to make healthier choices throughout the rest of the day.
Exactly, because you're not starting your day in a state of decision fatigue.
And that kind of like sets the tone for the rest of the day.
Exactly, creates this positive momentum.
So it's not really about like never hitting snooze or never having a donut.
No.
It's about being mindful of the choices we're making and how they might be affecting
Yeah.
our willpower and our ability to make good decisions later on.
Yeah, right. And it's about recognizing that even those small choices have a ripple effect. They can influence our mood, our energy levels, our productivity.
So like how do we start being more intentional about our choices? Like, do you have any practical tips?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the most helpful things is to start by just becoming more aware of the choices we're making throughout the day.
Okay.
Like literally just pay attention to what you're doing and why you're doing it, and ask yourself, like, is this choice aligned with the kind of life I want to create?
Oh, I like that.
Like, is this helping me move towards my goals or is it taking me further away?
Yeah.
And once you start to become more aware of your choices, then you can start to make small adjustments.
Yeah.
Like maybe instead of scrolling through social media first thing in the morning, you could spend 5 minutes meditating or reading something inspiring. Or maybe instead of taking the elevator, you could take the stairs. Or maybe instead of eating lunch at your desk, you could go for a walk outside.
I like all those ideas.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be anything huge, It's just about making small, consistent changes that over time can really add up.
And it's not about being perfect.
Definitely not.
It's about progress,
Yeah,
not perfection.
exactly. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have days where we slip up.
Of course.
But the key is to just keep coming back to that awareness. Keep asking yourself, is this choice serving me?
Okay.
And if it's not, then make a different choice next time.
I think that's really great advice. And, something that you said earlier really resonated with me
Oh, yeah.
about how, like, our brains are wired to seek out patterns.
Yeah,
And that can lead us to getting stuck in negative patterns without even realizing it.
definitely. It's like we're on autopilot, and
Yeah.
we're just going through the motions.
Right. We might not even be aware of the choices we're making.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to cultivate that awareness, to
Right.
step back and really examine our habits and our routines and see if they're actually serving us.
And, I think sometimes we can get so caught up in the big picture.
Yeah.
Like, we set these big goals for ourselves
Ah.
and then we get overwhelmed and we don't know where to start.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about today is like, it's not about making these massive overnight changes.
Yeah.
It's about making small, sustainable changes
Yeah. Small step.
that we can actually stick to.
One day at a time.
And over time, those small changes can lead to big results.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like the saying goes, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't underestimate the power of those small choices.
Well, that's a great place to wrap up, I think.
Yeah.
So as we finish up today's deep dive, I
Mm.
will leave you with one final thought to kind of chew on.
Mm.
Think about a choice that you make almost every day without even thinking about it.
Great.
Something that's become like a habit or a routine.
Like brushing your teeth.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe it's how you react when you're feeling stressed or what you do in the first hour after you get home from work.
Hmm.
Whatever it is, just take a moment to really consider that choice and ask yourself, is this choice moving me closer to the life I want, or is it taking me further away?
That's a great question.
And how might shifting that one choice, even just a little bit, change the trajectory of your life?
Some food for thought.
Yeah, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
And we'll see you next time.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.